Hey everybody, my name is Josh Fikier, and I want to welcome you back to Timeout. Now in our Timeout together today, I want to talk to you about times in life where we're experiencing seasons filled of difficulty, adversity, and uncertainty. You see, there's situations we can face in life where we don't have the answers for what we're going through. These are situations that we've never been through before. And it's almost like uncharted territory. There is no blueprint. There's nothing that we can look at to help us in how to progress and move forward. And those seasons of difficulty, adversity, and uncertainty can be very scary because it can put you in the mindset where you almost become anxious or fearful. You know, there's craziness happening all around us and nobody knows what to do or what to expect from here. And one thing we really have to keep in mind is that how we respond to seasons like this will greatly influence our ability to overcome in those seasons. You see, today I want to talk to you in this timeout about being stronger on the inside. Being stronger on the inside. Now, many of you may have heard that expression before, but the way my angle today may not be the way that you think I'm going with it. You see, there's a voyage, a great expedition that took place back in 1914. It was a voyage of a gentleman by the name of Sir Ernest Shackleton. He was a great captain. Many said he was wise beyond his years. And he and his men, 27 men, there was 28 in total, they were taking a voyage across the Antarctica on a boat, and the name of the boat was the Endurance. And so in this voyage, they were going to take an 1,800-mile track to get to where they wanted to go. Here's the problem. This 1,800-mile journey lasted for 2 years. You see, in this journey, they experienced something that is known to be one of the most dangerous situations when traveling in Antarctica, and it's called pack ice. Pack ice is where there's a group of ice that's traveling, and the way they developed those boats was that as they're moving forward, the front of the boat was strong enough to break the ice and continue in the journey. The thing about pack ice is that the ice is not just in front of you, but the ice surrounds you. And so in their journey, these 28 men, under the leadership of Sir Ernest Shackleton, they are in this boat and they're moving forward in the Endurance across the Antarctic. And this pack ice was growing on them and there was more beginning to surround the boat. Now the thing with pack ice is as it surrounds the boat, it brings the boat to a stop. Now you have to yield to the distance or the miles per hour that it allows you to travel. And the crazy thing about pack ice is that as more ice begins to pack on, hence the term, it becomes to apply enormous pressure to where it begins to crush the boat. Now Sir Shackleton and these 27 men are in a boat in the middle of nowhere, and they're stuck and cannot communicate with mankind. And their boat that they're on, that's keeping them afloat, is beginning to crush. Now, in these 2 years, I'm just going to fast forward and tell you the end. These men were able to accomplish something to make this the most momentous, one of the most miraculous voyage that we are known and that is known in history, because these men were able to overcome this adversity, this difficulty, this season of uncertainty, and make it back to their families. All 28 men accounted for. In the 2 years, not one of them were lost. Not one man was lost. And is known today as one of the greatest voyages under the leadership of Sir Shackleton. Now, how did these guys make it? You see, at one point, the ice was so thick that they can hear on a daily basis the boat cracking. And they're looking, and it's even said that for a whole season, these guys would try to crush the ice by hand using a handsaw to try to alleviate the pressure on the boat to keep it from cracking and them sinking. At one point, they could no longer salvage the boat. The Endurance was getting crushed to the point where it was becoming unrepairable. And these guys had to abandon the boat. And for a period of time in that season, in those 2 years, they had to live on ice. Remember, it was an 1,800-mile journey. They packed supplies to last for 1,800 miles. But the trip lasted 2 years. where they could not call in for supplies. These men had to be innovative. They had to think of ways to be creative, to continue eating, continue to supply. In fact, it was said that there was times where on the ice, just to get their mind off of the situation, these guys would take breaks to play soccer on an ice that's floating in the middle of nowhere. How did they survive? They realized that although the situation on the outside of the boat was strong, how they responded on the inside, if they were stronger, they would overcome that situation. These guys did not find time to become divided. This was a season to become united. Each person needed the next person. In fact, Sir Shackleton was so wise that every person on the boat had their own task they had to do on a daily basis, because he understood that as they completed their task for that day, there was a sense of fulfillment which helped to sustain the hope. You see, he understood that he had to keep his team, their mind off of this situation. And they said this man, this captain, he was known for the voyages that he has taken before, feats that he has overcome before. So these men lived and breathed off of every command that came out of his mouth. In his memoirs, there was moments when he didn't know himself how he was going to get these men back home to their family. They read it after the fact. But he had to make sure he kept the crew together, because he realized the only way to defeat the enemy on the outside is if they were stronger on the inside. And after 2 years, these men made it home to their family through a season of difficulty, through a season of uncertainty, and through a season of adversity. Why am I bringing this up today? Well, today we're facing a season of difficulty, a season of adversity and uncertainty. We're facing a pandemic, not as a country, not as a state, but as mankind across the world. This virus is spreading, and there's a lot of fear and pandemonium that's taking place, not just in the world, in the streets, but not just in people's homes, but in people's hearts. And it's putting people in a situation where they're now becoming somebody that they probably are not proud of. You see, it saddens me, because as I'm looking and seeing what's going on, I know that negative press gets more play than the positive things that's going on in the world. But even still, to see what's going on, the price gouging, how people are taking advantage of times of uncertainty and fear, and they're doubling the price on items. And what's happening is that there's people at home with supplies, with a lack of supplies, and a lack of funds and resources, and they want to supply these. They want to provide this peace of mind for their family. But what they couldn't afford at regular price, they're going online to see prices are being doubled, and now they can provide for their family. You see, there's this video that's surfacing where people are fist fighting in the stores. There's people fist fighting in the stores over supplies. The one that really hurt me, apparently people found entertainment from it. But there was these two ladies fighting over toilet paper, fist fighting. One lady had a shopping cart that was stacked high full of toilet paper, and right next to the shopping cart is this fist fight between the owner of that cart and another lady, two grown ladies. And on the floor in between them is one pack of toilet paper that they're fighting over, because the owner wants to keep that one and the other lady is just trying to get it, and they're fighting. And I'm not here casting judgment. This is just what I'm seeing. And what really hurt me was at the end of the video, when the fight was broken up, the one lady who approached the owner of the cart, and her voice was cracking like she was trying to keep from crying and breaking down. She said, "All I am asking for is one. That's all I'm asking for, is just one." See, listen, I get it. I get it. You want to make sure your household is in order. And you want to make sure you're stockpiling. Listen, my wife and I, we got 4 kids. School was just canceled for 2 weeks. I've heard it could be longer than that. We want to make sure we have enough in the house for everyone to maintain and to be sustained. But you see, the person who's getting all these toilet paper to their house, this lady is coming from a house too. This lady probably has children at home, and the last thing any of us would want to do in a moment of difficulty and uncertainty and adversity is to leave the house and to come back empty-handed. Listen, we have to understand as a people that if we are going to the best way to make it through this season is to understand that we are stronger on the inside. I know what we're facing, we don't know. It's a new strand, we don't have answers for it. But what we have to understand is when people come together, we are stronger on the inside. I'm not saying to put your family at risk. I'm not saying to go out there and do something to compromise your home. But we have to remember humanity. We have to remember that we are people, and the best way to get through anything is to do it united and not divided. We've heard it growing up. United we stand, divided we fall. We have to make sure we have a heart. We have to make sure we can look at the next person's needs and think about it. We can't be into a frenzy. I know it's easy to get into a survival mindset, but we have to be a people. Look at our past. Look at our past as a nation. Look at our past as a world through seasons of difficulty, uncertainty, and adversity. Look how we were able to make it to today. We did it by doing it together. One of the most proudest and moments in my life is as a first-time home buyer. My wife and I, we moved into a home, and it was in the neighborhood. We loved the house, but we realized what we loved more than the house was the people who lived in our neighborhood. We didn't know when you're shopping for a home, you can have all these items on your wish list. You can say, I want to have this, I want to have that, this much space, this much rooms. But one thing you may not be too much in control of is the people who live to your left and your right. You may, and matter of fact, when you're home buying and you're going and looking at homes, sometimes you're doing it at odd hours of the day where no one's home to assess what's happening when everyone gets home. And so we got this home, and there was a storm coming. It was a hurricane. This was a year or so ago. And as first-time home buyers, I had to learn how to put up hurricane shutters in the first year where we purchased a home. And so I'm not sure what to do. I remember my parents and how they prepared, but I'm checking these lists. I'm going and checking these websites. Make sure you have this, make sure you have that. And the storm came and gone, and the power was out, and thank God it came back not too long afterwards. But the thing that is most memorable to me is when we came outside and assessed the damages, there was trees everywhere, there was debris everywhere, and all the families seemed to have come outside the next morning at the same time, and everyone came together. You should have seen it. It was a sight to see. I mean, everyone brought their strength to the table. You see, individually we can do a lot, but together we can accomplish much. You heard me say that. Sir Shackleton, each person on that boat had an assignment. The assignment by itself may not have seemed to be so great or as impactful, but when everyone was depending on each other to do their tasks and they brought their strengths together, they were able to overcome. Do you know what the odds were that 28 men left and was stranded on ice for 2 years, that all 28 men came back? They realize you're stronger when you're on the inside versus whatever adversity you're facing on the outside. We all in our neighborhood came outside. The person who lived across the street, he did some sort of handiwork for a living. He went inside and got his saw to help saw down all the debris in everyone's neighborhood, all the branches. Myself, my wife and I, we happened to have extra water inside. We went inside and grabbed water for most people that was out there. I had some extra gloves in my garage, work gloves. I went and got that and distributed it to the neighborhood. All right. And then our neighbor, who he and his wife together, they're always cooking and grilling every time you see them every weekend. They went and got their grill out and started grilling food and handing it out to other people. You should have seen it. All the parents are outside helping each person in their house take down their shutters, helping everyone to make sure they have enough to eat. I mean, this was days, as long as there was no work and no school, everyone came out every day to make sure that we were all good. The kids are outside playing while the parents are doing things to make sure everyone's okay. That blessed me so much, because like I said, there's more negativity that's portrayed than the good stuff that's going on. But it was good to see that we're stronger on the inside. We're stronger on the inside when we come together. So I want us all to think about that. Think about that when you see someone who's going through, not just right now in these times, but even moving forward after this is gone. Think about it. When you see people going through, understand that each day you get up, you don't know if it's going to be a day where you can provide help or if it's going to be a day where you need help. We don't know what each day holds. You never know. From in the blink of an eye, you can be put from a position where you are able to provide help to someone to being in a position where you need help. I remember that a Wednesday night we were closing out Bible study. I was leading it, so I had to make sure everyone left, and I was the last one to stay behind to lock up. And as I locked up, I'm on the road. I had my kids with me, and we're driving. And as we're driving on the main road, I see two cars on the other side of the median with their lights blinking. And I'm like, oh man, it's an accident that occurred at this time in the night. That's inconvenient. And then I realized one of the cars that was there was my brother's car, who was just with me a moment ago. And I'm like, I prayed that in this short period of time, an accident didn't occur and he was involved. So it was him and my sister-in-law, his wife. And so I U-turned to check on everyone, make sure they're okay. Coming to find out, he pulled over because he saw a lady with her blinkers on and she's stranded. There's no one around. It's nighttime. At this point, it was like 10 o'clock at night, and we ran over a little bit. And he stopped to help her. She had a flat tire, and he's outside as I pull up, and I see him trying to change her tire. He's changing her tire. I get out and say, well, let me help out. So I go over and I approach and I say, what can I do to help? Her spare is in the trunk, but buried behind some things. This lady is looking at the both of us, and I can see the shock in her face. She's asking, who are you guys and where are you coming from? Are you angels? She don't understand. So I'm there. My sister-in-law, she gets out the car, her car, and goes sit in the car with my kids because there's cars driving back and forth. You see, everyone assumed the role. So she's sitting with them and providing comfort, letting them know that I'm helping someone. I'll be back soon. So we're there in the middle of the night. This lady is standing there and watching us like she doesn't have any words. And we're not doing it for any reason but the fact that it was the right thing to do. And so as we're there, her husband pulls up. This was an older couple. He pulls up and he's rushing. You can see he's rushing. His wife's stranded in the middle of the street. And so they're telling me, Josh, everything is fine. Between the two of us, we can handle it. You got the kids, bring the kids home. And I'm like, you sure? And it's like, yes. So I said, okay, I'm leaving. My sister-in-law's getting back in her car. And I'm like, I feel like there's more that I can do here. I just want to be a part of this because this help is needed. And so I overhear the husband telling his wife, the spare is flat and he has to bring it to a gas station. Now, all along in my car, I have kids, so I got to get Happy Meals. And so when I get change back, I put it in the center console. At this point, the console is full. So I said, you know what, sir? I said, do you have change to put air in that tire? And he was rushing. He's like, I didn't grab any change. I said, here's my chance to be a part of something good. I grabbed the change and said, sir, here you go. All right. And then so I took off. They were able to, I called my brother later on. They were able to get everything squared away. And it was a beautiful feeling. It was a beautiful feeling being a part of something good, coming together as people to understand there's times we're going to give help and there's times we need help. And here's the funny thing about it. And I know it's not a coincidence. It was only days later that I spoke to my mom on the phone. She was a professor at a university. She came out after one class. It's 10 o'clock at night, similar time, late. And she gets to her car to realize she has a flat. She calls my father and he's miles away. She didn't work close to where they lived. And she's saying, I have a flat. As she's on the phone, two random guys pull up off the street. They're on the sidewalk walking by. I don't even think they knew each other. And they approach her and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And they overheard her on the phone saying that she had a flat. They said, listen, don't worry about it. We'll change those tires for you. Two random guys who didn't know each other. And then you know what? I came to my memory like this. Just a couple of days ago, me and my brother was two random guys who pull up on a lady who had a flat tire and we changed her tire. A few days later, we hear the same thing happen to our mom. I don't believe in coincidence, y'all. I really don't. I spoke to a single parent who didn't have the funds to pay for everything that was on a conveyor belt. And they were shopping on a budget, that parent and their kids. And so when you're on a budget like that, everything that's on the conveyor belt nothing of it is of luxury. It's all necessity. And when everything was tallied up, the parent realized they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough to cover everything. So they had to start picking from things that was important to things that was urgent and taking the stuff that was important, yes, but putting it back. The person behind them saw what they were doing. And the gentleman said, no, what are you doing? Don't put that back. Whatever you can't afford, put it on this side of the divider. I'll cover it for you. And the single parent was like, taken by surprise. And it wasn't long after that the single parent was in a better position and overheard of another gentleman who was struggling and was at rock bottom, couldn't find work. He and his family was getting ready to get evicted. And that single parent was able to cover that person's rent. Look how the world goes round. It goes round because we make it go round. There's give and there's take. And so we have to make sure people, we are facing times of adversity, times of difficulty, and times of uncertainty. It's hard to project how long we're going to be dealing with this pandemic. It's hard to understand how long this is going to happen. And this is scary times for a lot of people. But what I'm trying to remind us is that we are strong as a people and we can get through it. As long as we realize we're stronger on the inside. Stronger on the inside of the boat. If we come together, we can overcome. We can overcome. You see, there's some things in life that you'll have to overcome. And there's some things in life you're just going to have to outlast. There's certain seasons in life where you may not turn it around, but you have to outlast it. If we come together, we can outlast. Think of ways you can be helpful without jeopardizing yourself or your health. Let's not use this as an opportunity to make life worse for somebody else. So my charge to you today is to remember we are stronger when we come together. We can overcome anything. We can overcome anything. Just look at history. Look at history. Look at how we've got this far as a country, as a world, as a species. Look at how we got this far. It's by coming together. Remember, we are stronger on the inside versus whatever we're up against. So let's stick together, people. Let's stick together and let's hope and pray that before we know it, we're on the other side. But the only way we can do this is doing it together. So God bless you. I'm happy to have been here with you on this time out. I hope this encouraged you. Listen, don't let fear overcome you. Okay, don't let fear take over. Take a time out to feed yourself faith, feed yourself strength, feed yourself encouragement. Okay, don't give up right now. I know it doesn't look good at times, but don't turn the TV off. Do something that's going to feed your faith. Spend that time with your family. Get to know each other more and talk yourselves through the situation. We're going to get through it, but we are stronger on the inside. As long as we're stronger on the inside. God bless you. I love you. And I'll see you at our next time out.
Gotta live my life. I ain't living